Joined now by Stanford's Clark and Elizabeth Nelson Director of Baseball David Esker in his sixth season, junior right-handed pitcher Tommy O'Rourke, and junior infielder Tommy Troy. The Cardinal went 47-18 last year, finished first in the Pac-12, and reached the College World Series for the 18th time in program history. They have made it to Omaha in back-to-back years. Coach Esker, if you want to start us off with an opening statement about your team in the fall leading up to 2023.
Okay, well, I guess the biggest questions on everybody's mind is how do we replace the guys that we lost a year ago? You know, we lost the defensive player of the year, Adam Crampton, our starting catcher, Cody Huff, the Pac-12 batting champion, Brett Barrera, and the pitcher of the year, Alex Williams. And that's not to mention probably maybe the biggest piece of our puzzle is just the glue of our program, Brock Jones, right? And so that's a lot of pieces, and that's a lot of talent, and that's a lot of the reasons why we were back-to-back College World Series participants. But I think what excites us is we've replaced good players with good players, and we think we've got the pieces that we may not be where people have us rated right now, but I think there is a path for us to make some noise in that direction as we get things going. I think I like our pitching staff, and I like the depth of our arms. I think we've improved ourselves in that regard. Tommy O'Rourke here is a junior pitcher for us, and I think one of the keys to our whole program is going to be that junior class of pitchers. You know, between Tommy O'Rourke and Brant Pantser and Joey Dixon and Ryan Bruno. That's going to be a big piece of our pitching staff that's going to pitch a lot of big innings. Drew Dowd will be a pitcher that is a junior pitcher in that class who will have a chance to be a starter. If I was to break our team down and go across the diamond, I think there's a mix of experience and some guys who've been waiting for an opportunity, right? Eddie Park in left field returns. He was the MVP of the regionals a year ago. Center field. We may hopefully with a guy that we start with can end the season there, but we've got some options in center field. Saborn Campbell is a sophomore out of Detroit, Michigan, who will get an opportunity. But it could be a situation where we may platoon left and right-handed if it comes to that. Eddie Park has played well in center field, which would give Henry Gargas, who is a senior left-handed bat, an opportunity maybe to play some left field as well. And then in right field, we return Braden Montgomery, freshman All-American, and one of the biggest pieces of our batting order. And he's improved even with where he was a year ago, and we're excited about him. And he is an option on the mound as well. It's still 95 plus when he's on the mound, and he has a chance to pitch some important innings on the back end of our bullpen too. If we go around the infield, I think the personnel may stay the same, just the positioning may switch some. I think if we were to start today, Tommy Troy would start at third base with Trevor Haskins at short. Drew Bowser would move over to second base, and Carter Graham would return to first base as he played a year ago. There's some flexibility there. Bowser's been our starting third baseman for 2 years and can easily move there, and Tommy could flip over to second base as well. I think what we like when we go around the diamond is our depth, because I think, which has been indicative of our inter squad games, which are pretty darn competitive, is we've got some players behind them that if we happen to run into an injury, we have guys that we feel like he could step in and do a good job. Jimmy Nada is a freshman from Australia who's going to be a heck of a player, and he's got a chance. He's played very well, and hey, he's a third base, first base option, DH option as well. Malcolm Moore is a catcher who will also probably DH some for us, who's going to be probably in the lineup and impacting our offense immediately. Charlie Somm is one of those sophomores, along with Saborn Campbell. Since those years, those guys have been waiting in the wings for an opportunity. And so we got some depth at catcher as well. And we're really excited, the improvement. Junior Alberto Rios, who has continued to be a great performer in practice, and will give himself an opportunity to swing the bat in some pretty important positions. The pitching, which is what it comes down to, and I think is where we're improved with some freshman arms that I think can help us. I like to play early in the season, whether we play 4-game weekends or 5-game weeks. The more opportunity I give ourselves to, maybe out of 5 games, try to figure out who are going to be the 3 best starters. And then those other 2 will obviously give us some long inning relief on the weekend as well. Obviously, we return Quinn Matthews, which is probably as good as all our freshman recruits, we don't have a better recruit than Quinn Matthews returning to our. We didn't expect him to come back. He did everything for us a year ago. He had 9 wins, 9 saves. He pitched in every role for us, and I'm just so thankful that we have a program that he was willing to come back to if things didn't work out on the professional side. He wasn't looking to leave at the first chance. I think that shows kind of the strength of our program, that we are a valid option if it just doesn't work out professionally for those guys. But Quinn Matthews, Drew Dow, Ty Huber, and then 2 freshmen, Matt Scott and Nick Dugan. Those are 5 names that have an opportunity to start. We're going to probably figure that out in the preseason, who's going to give us the best chance to give us the strongest bullpen and the strongest starting staff. And then there's that line of juniors who's going to be the next line of, ready to pitch, with Brant Panther and Joey Dixon, Tommy O'Rourke, who's much improved and kind of opening some eyes with the velocity he's been showing in our workouts. Ryan Bruno, left-handed out of the pen, and Braden Montgomery as well. And then there's a couple freshmen waiting in the wings. I don't know how much they'll get asked of early, but I think that they've made themselves an option. Torrin O'Haron and Trevor Moore. And then a couple seniors who are just looking to give us a chance and help us, left-handed specialists, Nick Lopez and Max Meyer, who throws a little bit with a lower arm slot, will give us some matchup ability. And so early on in the season, early on in the year, we go down to Fullerton, which is our typical opening weekend since the Coach Marquis stays. He started that off with Coach Garrido, and we're kind of keeping that up, and they're going to be really tough on us. And I think early on we may suffer some growing pains, and we'll probably have to grow into our offense and some of our roles early on. But I think we've got the personnel that will improve as the season goes on. And like I said, I think there's a path where we could give ourselves a really good opportunity. I know our team is really focused on. They don't like the way Omaha has felt to them the last 2 years, and really are looking to give themselves an opportunity to go back there and just give it another crack. And I always tell them the context, which you talk about college baseball. A year ago, Tennessee was the most dominant team in the country. They didn't even go to Omaha, and Mississippi was the last team in the tournament, and they won the whole thing. So, I mean, you got both ends of the context where anything can happen. And I just think nothing last year could tarnish what we did positively, from winning the league and winning the Pac-12 tournament, coming back and winning a regional, and then winning the super regional, just giving ourselves an opportunity to go to Omaha and win a national title. And do I think we were capable? I think we were capable of winning the national title a year ago. It just didn't work out for us. We just didn't get hot at the right time, didn't get a break maybe in game 1. I was able to be on a national championship winning team in 1987. We had hit a grand slam in the bottom of the 10th inning to give ourselves a chance. So those things sometimes have to happen, and we're just looking to give ourselves just those opportunities, put ourselves in a position to get to postseason, give ourselves the best chance. One thing we've learned from postseason over the last couple of years, which our team has to be ready for, there is no getting out of a regional unless you're ready for just a war. And whether it's Fresno or Irvine or Texas State a year ago, there is no easy road to that next level. And then when you get there, they may send you to Lubbock, Texas, and you've got to fight your way out of Lubbock, Texas. So I think that's the thing. Our team knows that if we get those opportunities, we're going to have to be ready to stand up against some really good competition. And so you have to be worthy to get to Omaha. And I think our team is really working hard. I do not think our team for 1 second is looking at any preseason rankings thinking that that's who we are. I think we're really aware of the type of quality players that we lost a year ago, and know that we have our work cut out if we're going to be that type of team this year.
All right, we will open it up for questions. The first one coming from Steve Kroner. Go ahead, Steve.
Dave, how you doing?
Good.
You referenced this a couple of times in your talk there. Some people, when they get ranked highly in any sport, there's like 3 ways to look at it. The one way, hey, this is a great opportunity for our program. We love the recognition. It's great. The other one is, it puts too much pressure on us. I'd rather not even discuss it. And the third is, it really doesn't make any difference until we get to the end of the season anyway. Which of those 3 tacks do you take?
Yeah, it really, again, I think our team is grounded enough to not even look at that. And I think our team is grounded enough to just, and I'll tell them, it's like, it's not you guys that are ranked number 3. It's last year's team that's ranked number 3, right? We're coming off of last year's team's reputation. We've done nothing yet. We've got some returning players and some names. We have guys who have to back up years that they had a year ago. So really, this team has done nothing necessarily. I think it's maybe just a projection of maybe what last year's team has left them. And but based on how we work and how we talk, and we're not taking that seriously. I think we're just hoping that we can kind of reach our collective potential and pull it together as a team. And I think our team does a great job of understanding that, it's going to take us all to have the year we want to have. And it's not going to be just one guy. And, last year, as crazy as things started, is we came out with a lot of expectations a year ago. And at one point we had dropped out of the rankings and we were 1-5 in league. Right. And a little bit after that Arizona weekend where we had all 3 games, we had a lead in the 8th inning. Just to kind of break the tension, I kind of said, okay, we've got them where we want them right now. Everyone thinks we're terrible and we're out of the rankings. So now it's time.
Thank you, sir.
Our next question will come from Brian Davis. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, you talk about the parity of college baseball. I mean, the numbers really don't matter. And we'll say Tennessee was a prime example. They were kind of the LA Dodgers of college baseball last year. Didn't get to the College World Series. It's really about playing your best baseball at the right time. You have some of these, and we've seen it in the past, like Fresno State. I think about 14, 15 years ago, they were one of the final 4 teams on the bubble of getting into a regional, and they made that improbable run towards a national championship. And it's we've seen it in college baseball in recent times. So that the best teams who's ranked up in the top 5 in the country doesn't necessarily always win it all. I like the parity of college baseball, kind of like the root for those mid-major small schools to get a chance to go to Omaha. That's baseball. That's what baseball should be.
I think you saw that, a year ago. I think when we closed the door to the coach's office a year ago, we kind of admitted that Tennessee probably was clearly number 1. And I think 2 through 25 were interchangeable as far as the rankings were concerned, right? I think it could go any direction at any time. It happened. We were 2 by the end of the year, but we knew we still had work. I mean, obviously that Texas State team we played in the regional was completely capable of winning, as was Santa Barbara, who was really good on the West Coast. And then we faced a Connecticut team who, they didn't even have that first round draft pick who got the left-handed pitcher who also hit for him a year ago, right? So it's just injuries and things can happen that kind of change your team. But that was no easy road as well. So there is parity. And it is about how you play at the end, and I'm able to remind our team about that even personally. My sophomore year, we're the number 1 team in the country going into Omaha, and we got blown out the first game by Miami and didn't win. And I don't think until you find that rhythm of how you have to go into those type of tournaments, and it is about just trying to play your best. It's just about figuring out how to stay in the tournament long enough so hopefully you can get hot and kind of figure out the rhythm of how to play in those big games. So. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And on the West Coast, you're going to see that same parity, and you mentioned the Fresno States, but, I think Oregon State, when they won their second national title, they finished 5th or 6th in our league, but just knew how to win. Stanford, when they won their second title here in '88, they had finished 4th or 5th and had a losing record against the field in Omaha. So, yeah, postseason baseball is different. I think there's a number of teams on the West Coast who are going to have that opportunity to play postseason baseball. UCLA, obviously, in our league, just UCLA, Oregon, Oregon State, Arizona is really experienced this year. And then there's going to be a surprise. And, as I mentioned to our team, God, there's going to be somebody else. It's going to be a Santa Barbara. It's going to be an Irvine. It's going to be a West Coast Conference team. There's somebody that's going to come, you're going to come across in the playoffs that on any given day is going to have that chance to beat you. Just in the Bay Area, you see just the quality of coaching, Greg Moore and Mike New and Rusty Filter. And, just everybody. They're going to have their teams, ready to go. And as I told everybody, and Eric Sorensen, I told you, don't sleep on San Jose State, right? Brad Sanfilippo's team, that team can hit, and they are old and they play old. And I think they're going to be a formidable opponent for anybody who gets them.
All right, I see 4 hands. We'll make sure we get through them. We'll start with Carson Trail, then go Eric Sorensen, Ben Parker, and Shotgun Spratling. But I can remind everyone. Go ahead, Carson.
Hello, thank you. Carson Trail here with the Stanford Daily and KZSU Radio. With the team now 1 year removed from having Brock Jones, who have you seen step up as a leader this past fall?
You know what? It is not one. And it has been collective, and that's been refreshing. It's not one person that has to kind of impersonate Brock Jones and try to be that guy for us. And when I talk about when you have an experience to coach a guy like Brock Jones that is maybe a once in a lifetime type personality and just the glue of your program. And I always describe him, people see Brock and he comes in, he's got 2 tattoo sleeves and 2 earrings on, and he's a social media presence, and he's the coolest guy in the locker room, and all the girls love him, and he's good looking, and people say, man, that guy must be hard to coach. I'm like, no, he's really the easiest guy to coach. And hey, he's probably an individual and just worries about his own stats and the draft. No, he's probably the best team player I've ever coached. And he wants to win more than anyone I've ever coached. And hey, the prize probably football, baseball guy. Is he just kind of sliding in on the grades? No, he gets all A's. He's just one of those guys at every turn. I always tell him, like, you're the biggest contradiction of people who probably see you. Their impression of you is you're 100% different. And a guy like that, who in every conversation I had with him after recruiting him and he committed, it was all about going to Omaha, that he was going to bring us to Omaha. And he did that. He lived it. And he can turn in practice the most mundane 1st and 3rd bunt defense drill, and he's going to bring energy to it, and he's going to make it competitive, and he's going to yell at Coach Eager and say they can't get him out, and he's going to make a rundown, and what I've seen is our whole team has kind of embodied that this fall. It hasn't been one guy trying to do that. And when you watch a group like ours who can take just the work part of baseball, which is just the detail, and they make it enjoyable, and they have fun while they're working, and whether it's a base running drill or just a bunt defense, and they've kind of taken that from him. And I think that's the part that I enjoy, that Brock Jones left our program better off than he found it, is the hard work. He made it where the guys can enjoy that part of it and get their work done too.
All right, Eric Sorensen, you're up next.
All right, great. First, I got to go to Tommy Troy. Please tell me that really is the Golden Gate Bridge behind you live right now.
Yeah, it is live.
Oh, it is. I couldn't tell right away. That's a baller move. Secondly, how many people have you bragged to about hitting the game-tying home run in the regionals against Texas State?
I mean, it gets talked about a lot, but it's such an amazing memory last year, especially what everyone went through. Being able to have that moment was just really awesome. But for me, it's just time to move on. We got a whole new team this year, and I'm just so excited to make more memories like that with everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Esker, I'll go back to you on this one. I almost want to ask you if what was more exciting, Paul Carey's grand slam off of Ben McDonald or that 9th inning rally against Texas State. But I think you'll tell me it was probably the rally against Texas State because you're a coach now, right?
That's right. You know what? They're pretty close, and just having those experiences kind of give you that belief that, hey, things like that can happen. And when you play with those special groups, you got to have those special moments. Like that's how those years come about, and just kind of keeping that team grounded and just knowing how much it meant for them, and then have it even better. A player who's had very little experience during the whole year. We get those 2 home runs by Bowser and Tommy, and then we get an unbelievable at bat by Eddie Park, and he gets a hit and he moves up, and then we move up on a ball in the dirt, and that's a little detail that we work on and try to be good at. And Trevor Haskins comes out of nowhere and just has an at bat. But I think what you saw that was a player that had very little experience, and 35 brothers on the bullpen rail just willing him to get a hit there, and to see that is just awesome.
All right, my one real question for you is how comforting is it? You have 8, if I'm doing my math right, you have 8 guys that have pitched in the College World Series coming back to your pitching staff this year. How comforting is that to have that experience for those guys?
Well, the fact that they have that experience is great. I think that they've all improved is even more comforting, right? And
Yeah.
you got Tommy O'Rourke here, who's pitched big innings in big high leverage spots, and just he's in the best shape of his career, and he's throwing harder than he ever has, and his skill is even better than it really has been. And then up and down the line, but the Brant Pantsers and the Ryan Brunos and Joey Dixons, they've all had big moments, but I think they're better now. And now they got to put that on the field, and we've got to compete. And that doesn't just mean we're going to win just because they're better, because the game isn't played on paper. They're going to actually have to step in there against an opponent and win that one-on-one. And so I think they're more prepared for that. And I think Coach Eager's done a great job of putting it together and giving us options and recruited well. And the young freshmen that we have have a chance to be helpful, but we're not going to lean on them or rely on them. They get to just kind of pitch in, which is really good.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
All right, we got a question from Ben Parker. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey guys, Ben Parker, CardinalSportsReport.com. Hope you guys are doing well. Just for the players, just talk about areas of your game that you guys are both focused on, and then also too, on top of that, just talk about the experience of being in Omaha and the postseason run, and how you feel like that could propel you guys to even more success this year.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. First question, in terms of improvement and furthering our game, I'd say our staff as a whole has been more accountable in terms of preparation than I've seen the last 3 years. Up and down the line, this is a place where everyone gets here by working hard and having dedication towards their work and all I'd say up the line, and I'm sure this is true with the offense as well, but the staff is more accountable than I've ever seen. And then in terms of getting back to Omaha and having that experience, like mentioned before, we've had a handful of guys start since their freshman year there. We've had 8 guys throw there, and I think each time we've been there and gone to big places like that, we get more comfortable and used to that kind of environment. A lot of freshmen played Oregon State last year, in Omaha last year, so I think that's huge too.
Yeah, I guess adding on to that, as far as on the offensive side, it's just I feel like we have the most talented team in the past couple of years. It's just a matter of how we bring cohesion onto the baseball field and how we pay attention to the details and the little things. And I feel like our whole squad is just super bought into that and really taking, making the details matter and just outworking everyone else. So I'm really excited to see what this team has in store.
Our final question or questions will come from Shotgun Spratling. Go ahead, Shotgun.
Yeah, for the Tommy Squared, for both the Tommies, is there something unique? You guys have had so many experiences for regionals, super regionals, College World Series, all this experience that a lot of players don't get to have. But is there something unique you guys can take away from your time playing in the Cape Cod League over the summer?
Yeah.
Honestly,
So
go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'll go. So I guess, the Cape Cod is a great place. There's just a lot of different factors going on that, ultimately can affect how your success is. And it's just a matter of, how you're going to be able to compete at any stage, whether it's in the biggest stage in freaking college baseball in the College World Series, or it's some high school baseball field with not so good umpires and really good pitching. And you got to find a way to compete at any stage. And I feel like going out there and competing out there really, allows you to appreciate, once you get back, with your team and with your boys competing for a national championship.
Yeah, absolutely. To build on that, like Tommy said, the environment's not always the same it is at the highest level of college baseball. And you got to show up to the field every single day and take care of business. And that's when you really find out whether you love this game or not. And I feel like everyone who's played in the Cape or even other summer leagues have really gained a better understanding of how much they do like this game and taking care of business day in, day out. And I think that's transferred into this year more than any.
And Tommy Troy, you've obviously had really good postseasons the last couple of years, and then had really good capes after that. How do you carry that into the kind of the regular season where you haven't had as much success the last couple of years?
I mean, at this point, it's just going to be simplifying it and focusing on just having fun. I mean, like, I love this group of guys. So, I mean, like, my top priority is just playing free and loose, just like how I play when I'm having success, and just, being consistent. I've worked really hard to polish a lot of certain things. So I'm just ready to show up and play.
And the last thing for me, David, Braden Montgomery showed us so much last year with so many different things they could do. How do you plan to implement him this season? Will it be the same as last year, or do you see him having a little bit different role, especially on the mound this year?
Well, we kind of started him slowly, but when it all was said and done, he was hitting fourth for us a year ago, and so we have him fourth in the lineup, and we're not going to move him from that, and then just find the spots where he's best going to help us on the mound, and I mean, when you're blessed like he is with that lightning bolt on his right arm, which is 95 plus, and but giving him the opportunity to help us. A year ago, he started as our opening night closer, right? So it's a 1-0 game versus Fullerton, and he's closing it out. But we'll probably use him in a different role, probably to start the year, and maybe get a couple outings on the weekend if we can, and maybe bridge it to some of the guys that give an opportunity to pitch late.
All right, I see no more hands. Thank you, Coach Esker, Tommy, and Tommy. Good luck to the Cardinal this year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.